Next up, we got Trish Stratus and Tiffany Stratton taking on Nia Jax and Candice LeRae. Homecoming for Trish, right? Wrestling in Toronto in front of her hometown crowd. Always a big deal. I got to be honest, though. I mean, wasn't necessarily the match I was like the most hyped for going into the night, But that being said, I think seeing Trish back in Toronto, special moment. She's been a huge part of WWE's history. And anytime she returns, it just really reminds you of like how just really influential I think she's been in women's wrestling. I think that's kind of really cool to see, and I think also what's more impressive is that when she does step back in the ring, she still looks like really sharp. Like she moves really well, gets a great crowd pop and everything, and then having her kids in the audience is great there too for just the emotional impact of it all. I think for me now moving to Tiffany Stratton's, like she's on a bit of a babyface run, I guess, right? Like um I think to me what stood out is the fact that I think she's progressing well into this role of being a babyface. But what I would say is I like that they're not stripping away the things that made her character work in the first place for the most part, right? And it's just but clearly, like you're gonna be different as a babyface as you are a heel, right? I think, and every wrestler says it, much easier to work as a heel than a baby, and you got to appeal to the crowd a little bit. And I think sometimes there can be moments, though, even especially in this segment, those in the promos with these two, could be corny a little bit, right? Because it's just like you're going for that, like Tiffy and Trishy. It kind of gets a little corny. But what I do like about Tiffany Stratton is that she is kind of coming into her own. Like she has that star power, right? She's confident. She has that ability to connect with the audience. Her voice is very unique, and I mean, some people could be hated or whatever. It's like, um, she's very like she's just unique, right? The way her look, I mean, again, like you would think blonde hair, athletic, person like build, and it's like you think, oh, that looks like just like Charlotte or looks like whoever Trish like years ago. It's like I think there's a potential for her to look like a copycat, but I do think the way she's carried herself and just I think her athletic ability has made her very unique and really great and awesome to watch. Like just how she's a high flyer and she can do amazing moves and is athletic. I mean, you look at someone like Charlotte's, the fact that they're both going up against each other is really cool for Mania. Both can do these big high spots and aerial moves and things like that. I do think though that for me, a difference with Charlotte compared to Tiffany here is like Charlotte's just a little bit more polished and experienced. With things like that, I think Tiffany is just still trying to like really get a little refined in her execution of these kind of moves. I think if you look to like the SmackDown, there was one where I think she just did a backflip off the top rope, which I thought was very Charlotte like, but she kind of just I think she kind of missed her opponents there. So that's a bit of a thing you have to clean up. But I think if you just tightens those kind of moves up, then it'd be a really cool match between her and Charlotte. There's definitely be those spots where I think Charlotte's gonna go off the top rope and then backflip, onto the floor, and then maybe Tiffany will do the same thing, and it's almost like something that you can do, I can do better type of storytelling. So that'd be kind of cool. We'll see what happens there, but they're up against Nia Jax, Candice LeRae. I feel like with Nia, like say what you want about it. I mean, I was not always the biggest fan of her, and especially with how I feel like she kind of sometimes maybe botch some moves, I guess. But I think she plays the role of the villain really well, right? I think that you have that dominant, overpowering person that is a great opponent for someone like Tiffany, who is they're trying to get really get over as that baby face. Like you can build you can build sympathy for a baby face when they're against Nia, because how do you stack up? No, there's no person on the roster that can really stack up against Nia, except maybe like Tamina, but or maybe Piper. But it's still, she is the powerhouse of that division. So that's how you can get a baby face, get the crowd behind a baby face like that. And then you've got Candice LeRae, who I think, honestly, I think she deserved a little bit more in this match. I think she's someone who has a lot of the great tools. I mean, anyone who knows her history, she's I think a great wrestler, great in ring ability, a lot of experience, and she has an underdog quality that can make people root for her. But I don't know. It sucks. I feel like she was just there to kind of just fill the quota. Like you just need someone else to tag up with Nia Jax there. But look, overall, I thought it was a solid match. I think it's a tough spot, right? You had to follow that chamber match, which is really hard. Like you're coming after a really good chamber match. Crowds fired up, and a lot of energy was spent cheering that original match on. And but it did give Trish her homecoming moment, right? Allowed Tiffany to still be in there, and let Nia continue to dominate, and kept Candice involved. So it was a good match for what it was supposed to be. I feel like, and I think Tiffany and Charlotte something to look forward to, and it's just one of those matches that you know kind of did what it needed to do. But I thought impressive by all the women in the match involved.